Now, it's pretty obvious any bike you own for 42 years, and especially if you've owned it since new for 42 years, you develop a relationship with it. It's hard to explain to people that don't have that relationship, but several of us that do have these bikes for very extended amounts of time, you get to know every bolt and screw and every washer and every little this, that, or the other thing. And this bike, 42 years, has never disappointed me yet. I have gone on long rides, short rides, fast rides, everything. And I always come home with a big smile on my face and always looking forward to the next day I can ride. And at the end of the video, I have some nice old pictures to share when this bike had the West COOLEY bodywork on it. And look at how the leaves reflect in the engine. I just think that was one of the pictures that is really nice, I think. So basically, as I'm out here sitting looking at this 42-year-old motorcycle with 80,000 miles on it, I'm 79 years old, a lot of old stuff going on here. I live in a 100-year-old house. I wonder how many people that are looking at this video, 1982, maybe you weren't riding bikes yet, maybe you weren't born yet, I don't know. 42 years ago was a long time ago. A lot of things were different, but one thing never changed is how much fun it is to ride this bike. Now, I like to pre-flight the bike every time I ride it, check the air in the tires, all the other things, the chain, the oil, whatever. And I think that's cheap insurance, and I don't like getting stuck and inconveniencing my friends to have to come rescue me. Now, what's funny, 42 years ago, my kids were young, they were teenagers, they were what I wish I was right now. But anyway, it was a wonderful world, 1982. It's always nice for me to remember. I have a lot of great memories of riding this bike up to Lake George and just being young. And I guess one of the things I always like to think is this bike has really aged well, stood the test of time. I wish I stood the test of time as good as this bike. I don't know, there's a message here, but I'm not sure exactly what it is. But I do try to maintain it. I do try to keep it clean. I do try to do everything I possibly can to extend its useful life. So the lesson for me, I always think, is if you have something you really like and you really take exceptionally good care of it, and you do all the maintenance and you do all the testing and you do all the checking the tires and changing the oil and oil filters and whatnot, and try to maintain it up to the top standard you possibly can, I think what you wind up with is what I have with this bike. Just something that when it's the day like today when I'm ready to ride it, I dream about it the whole night before. This is definitely a wonderful motorcycle, and I love that it's part of my collection since it's brand new. This is absolutely my favorite time of year. I try to get a ride in every day, of course, if for no other reason than the exercise. There'll be times coming very soon where we'll start to do the oil changes and tire changes and all the maintenance on the bikes. But right now, it's still really nice. They haven't salted the roads yet. Still a few leaves on the trees in place to place. And the temperature, this is the temperature I would like to have all year long. It's probably going to get to be 60 by lunchtime. remember back 42 years ago, the day I got this bike, I had a 1000cc GS at the time. I traded it in. I didn't know how much better this bike was going to be, how much more comfortable. I liked the styling. That was the thing that sold me on it. I wasn't sure about the rest of it. As soon as I took my first ride to Lake George, I knew right away I was married to this bike for the rest of my life. And it has stood the test of time. I haven't changed my mind over the years. I haven't lost interest in it. I love to just go out to the garage and polish that aluminum and keep the bike maintained. And I'm really sad when I read comments people put on the channel that they had a GS, they really liked it, and for whatever reason they sold it. And years later, they're looking at maybe one of these videos and they say, geez, you know, I wish I had it back. Remember years ago when I got the parts bike, I wasn't so sure it would be a good value. It turned out to be the value of the century. I've used so many parts off it already. And it's probably not going to be long before we snap on a new set of Michelin Commanders. These Commanders, I think, especially the front one, I think it was a big improvement to the handling of the bike. The rear one, always on a GS, seems to wear out first, but as soon as it gets too cold to ride, we're going to get some new tires. I've made several little detail mods, the EBC rotors, the steel brake lines, among other things. Having the back disc be a front disc just to save some weight. All of the aluminum polishing on the bike. Hundreds of hours of polishing. It seems like it's endless. But I do like to over-maintain this bike. When I put the 86 exhaust system on here, it's a little more rumbly than the stock one. I kind of like the sound, a little better than stock. And it didn't change anything with the jetting on the engine or the way it takes the throttle. I've sat in that seat for 42 years. It was comfortable the day I picked up the bike from Westwood Suzuki. It's just as comfortable this afternoon. Suzuki did a great job of making a seat that lasted 42 years. To me, what's special about the bike, it was fun when I was younger. I was way more aggressive of a rider. I was able to go on longer trips. I was able to do other things. But this bike always steps up to the plate and is fun to ride. And if a bike is anything at the end of 42 years and it's still fun, I don't know. I think I've kind of got a special bike here. It suited my needs then, it suits my needs now. And I have two sets of wheels for the bike. I have a gold set that I've had in the past when it had the West COOLEY bodywork. I'm going to show some of that at the end of this video. You'll see some pictures that I have on my archives. But these wheels, the black wheels with the red stripe, when I was doing them, I was so careful to get the red paint, that's not tape, it's paint, to match the Suzuki logos on the gas tank. And Karen and I went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And when I was all done, I realized I got it right in the end. And one cherry on a sundae is having that 5-gallon plus tank, 200-mile plus range. It makes a day like today very, very comfortable. And having 2 sets of bodywork always gives me a lot of choices. Anytime I want to make an evil twin out of the bike, I'm basically 3-4 hours away from having what amounts to be an evil twin Suzuki. But for sure, 42 years of running that engine has led me to believe Suzuki did a great job. It still runs great. And after all these years, all the accessories that you can put on these bikes to make them more powerful, exhaust systems, carburetors, blah, blah, blah. I was so glad that I've kept it stock. It's like a little over 80,000 on it now. And it still runs just like the day it was new. For any of our subscribers and viewers that haven't seen the bike with the West Cooley bodywork, it's a custom one-off thing that I did, I think 7 years ago, and I have 2 sets of bodywork for this bike. So it really was a good ride today, and when I think back, this is about 7 years ago, I'm not sure exactly. We had the West Cooley bodywork on, and I was doing some photography in the fall, early winter when it was really cold out. Had the gold wheels on the bike just for one thing, and the full West Cooley bodywork. And I was doing evil twins back then. So when I think about 42 years, about 6 or 7 of them, we had this bodywork on the bike. And the tan bodywork never took a beating, never had to ride in the salt or in the rain or whatever. But having this extra set of bodywork really makes a big difference. It really, to me, it adds another dimension to all the things I enjoy about this bike. Now, of course, I still have the bodywork, and I don't know if I'm ever going to put this back on, or if we're going to wind up putting it on Jim Skinner's bike. I don't know. We're going to find out. But having it is certainly to my advantage. Certainly to everybody that has a GS in my circle of friends advantage too, like Joe Padula. But anyway, it's beside the point. I really hope you did enjoy the video. Now, what's going to happen is it's getting colder and colder with each passing day. And I look back at the years when I was a little bit younger and we rode in some really, really cold weather. And I'm not sure we're going to be doing a lot of that this winter, but there's the West Cooley bike again. And I remember these days like it was yesterday. 42 years go by, 32, 22, and every one of the years has some great memories. Now, I'm happy that I'm able to share them. I'm happy that over the years I shot a lot of video, had a lot of fun doing it, made a lot of good friends, and now, at this point in my life, I'm 79, I go to my video library and I have so many things that just bring back great memories, the friends I've been able to make over the years, and I'm sure you're one of them. And this bike, think about it, 42 years ago, how many things do you have in your life for 42 years already? Anyway, again, as I say all the time, I hope you did enjoy the video. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Please hit the like button, and thanks so much for watching.